Dancing down in So, if you know me, you know that I'm not really into anime. However, that's not to say I'm unwilling to give some a chance. I watched Toradora and it was great. And Neon Genesis Evangelion is actually one of my favorite shows of all time now, trauma excluded. So when I first heard about Kakegurui and realized it was on Netflix, I thought, okay, maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll hit 3 for 3 with anime. So I watched the first season and yeah, I can definitely see why so many people absolutely love this show and I am just not one of them. There were plenty of things that I enjoyed, but overall, Kakegurui just didn't click with me. Kakegurui? Kakegurui? I don't know how to pronounce it. Okay, so this might kind of sound weird, but at least to me, the show is kind of paced like a video game, with the members of the student council acting as the bosses. Is that just me? Anyways, the actual gambling scenes themselves were actually quite tense and exciting at first, and you're at the edge of your seat to find out how Yumiko is gonna completely annihilate these people's wallets and confidence. But the lack of stakes eventually makes them feel repetitive and honestly quite boring by the end. However, the animation is at its best in these scenes, from the details to the lighting to that creepy as hell face the characters make whenever they feel like they're about to win. And of course, Yumiko's signature crimson glare. How is that both unnerving and attractive? But on the other hand, I don't really like the character designs. I find it fascinating how anime has a general look that still leaves plenty of room for interpretation from artists. How they have distinct and creative styles while still falling underneath the same general umbrella of artistic similarities. But Kakegurui has too many characters that look too much alike for me. The only exception being the student council. Those are just a colorful band of creeps and weirdos. Those designs are great. I love how they all look. But for most of the others, I can only really tell some of them apart by their hair and eyes, which is a big turnoff for me when it comes to character designs. But hey, who cares how the characters look if I really care about them? Right? Yeah, I don't feel all that attached to these characters. I don't think they're bad or even uninteresting. Most of them are actually really fun to watch. But remember when I said it was like a video game? Well, it applies here too. They're fun to watch, but there's nothing all that interesting or compelling about them. Not to say that video game characters are uninteresting and not compelling. There are plenty of games that have that, but it's not necessarily the norm. Most people don't necessarily care about the story of a video game, at least the people that I've met. Nobody plays Codfish for story. The characters are good, just not ones that I particularly care about. Most of the student council act like typical villains of the week. They have a gimmick, they have a weakness, and then they get emotionally devastated. The only character I'd consider to be bad is the stock harem guy who's really boring and I refuse to look up his name. The only thing of interest that he does is literally just flip a card and make Yumiko feel a certain way. But that's it. There's nothing to him. Speaking of which, Yumiko Jablinski is the face of 1,000 cosplayers who crowd my For You page on a daily basis. And yeah, she's great. She's cold and calculating while putting up a facade of innocence and kindness, and she's incredibly entertaining to watch. Is the change in personalities deliberate? Is she just flat out schizophrenic? I don't care. My main problem with Yumiko is that she's the protagonist. See, having the main character be an emotionally aloof sociopath means that they aren't emotionally invested in the plot. And if she doesn't care about what's happening, then why should I? There's definitely a lot to her, specifically her mysterious backstory, but that's never explored in this season. She wins about 90% of all the games that she plays, but when she loses and becomes a house pet earlier in the season, she doesn't really care. As long as she can still gamble and get that high, she's fine. Money obviously doesn't mean much to her, and we never see her lose anything all that important besides it, because of course she was never gonna lose her fingernails. She's the sexy, marketable character. Why in the hell would they ever do that? She has several interesting character traits, but no real flaws or depth to tie them together, and is only motivated by getting her rocks off as far as I could tell. Does that still apply to women? Probably not. Honestly, my favorite character, and who I think is the best in the whole show, is Mary. She has the most interesting arc of letting go of her pride and working with Yumiko in order to get back to her status, and it's really great. She should have been the main character if you ask me, with Yumiko starting off as an antagonist turned deuteragonist. The more that I think about it, Yumiko isn't so much a character, but rather akin to a force of nature. Underneath the sheepskin is a malevolent mastermind who will stop at nothing to feed her addiction. Again, I think she's great, but who she is just doesn't suit the role of protagonist. What else? The music's really good. Deal with the Devil is a Bop. And, yeah, that's basically what I think of Kakegurui. It's good, and I see why many people like it, but it's just not my thing. Is it the traditional anime hypersexualization scattered throughout? Maybe. Is it just that I was invested in only one character? Definitely a part of it. Or is it just my internal bias towards anime that I have to fight down every time I give one a chance? Who knows? I don't think I'll watch the second season though. I already got way too much stuff on my watch list. I'm giving Kakegurui Season 1 a 6 out of 10. And with that, I'll see you Homo sapiens next time.